starring as Jonas, Brenton Thwaites. You know him as the man who really, frankly, he just ties the room together. Jeff Bridges, who plays the Giver. Co-stars as Fiona. And a woman who worked as a producer on the film alongside Jeff, Nikki Silver. You make an introduction. This is Hall H. Everybody say hello.
Hi.
Hello, Hall H.
I'll bet you never get that, Jeff.
No.
What a surprise. So Lois, I want to start with you. I said without you, if you hadn't laid words down on paper and told this story, we wouldn't be here. And it's a story that, look, we have commandos. It's a story that resonates very deeply with people. And I was curious what some of the more surprising reactions are that you've gotten over the years from readers who've seen something in the story. Do they ever see anything that you yourself are surprised to find?
Actually, the most surprising reaction I've gotten over the years, and still get, I won't get it anymore after this movie is out there, is the people who think the boy and the baby are dead at the end of the book. They are not, folks. They're alive and well, and there are 3 more books if you want to read about what happens to them later. But it's clear at the end of this movie that not only are they alive and well, but they have returned a kind of sanity to this community that they've fled.
But why do you think the story connects so deeply with people? There's more to it than just an exciting adventure.
You still asking?
I'm still asking. Or do you disagree?
Do I disagree? No, I think there's a great deal more to it. But interestingly, when I wrote the book, I wrote it just as a story, as an exciting adventure, as you say. It was only afterwards that I realized out of that arises food for thought. A lot of questions are raised. I think the best books raise questions rather than give answers. I think the best books don't have messages because there are different answers to those questions. And so I think that's what the book The Giver does, and it's why teachers like it so much, because it raises those questions for students. Probably a few of you out here had to read it in school.
So Jeff, you star in the film, but you've been pushing this project along for almost 20 years now.
Forever.
You got interested early on. Tell us about discovering the novel and what it was that inspired you to say, I want to make a movie out of this.
Yeah, originally I wanted to direct my father, Lloyd Bridges, in a film. And I wanted to direct him in a film that my kids could see, and they were little kids back in those days. They're all in their 30s now. And so I got myself a catalog of children's books, and I saw this great cover with this grizzled old guy on the cover, and the Newbery Award there stamped on the cover. I thought, oh, this could be a good one. Let me pick this book up. Oh, and by the way, I found out later that Lois took that photograph, which I love so much. Anyway, I thought, I'll get this book. This will be a wonderful book to read. And I read it, and it was a terrific children's book, but also I enjoyed it so much as an adult and found the themes, so important, and the poetry of it really, I just love. So I thought, oh, this is going to be an easy one to get made. But I was mistaken. We tried for, close to 18, 19 years to get it made, and it proved to be difficult, I think because it was quite controversial. Lois and I, not too long ago, were in Las Vegas at a banned book conference, and the book was banned in many areas, in many places, but also it was taught in many schools. How many of you guys out there, read the book in school? It was like mandatory reading. Yeah, look at that! Isn't that wild? So that controversy, I think, scared some financiers away, but it also inspired me. I said, oh, wow, there's the energy of this thing, the two poles, people saying, oh, it's too risky, we don't want to show our kids that, and the other ones, oh yeah, this is the kind of thing we want our kids to learn. So I'm so glad that the Weinstein Company and Walden finally got the courage to put it out.
I have to admit, I don't understand the controversy and why anyone would want to ban this story. Lois, what's the reasoning?
I've never actually figured it out myself, because often people take things out of context. There are two scenes in the book that would be held up as, this is disgusting, we don't want our children to read this. One is the scene you just saw part of in the little film clip, where the father kills the infant. That's a difficult scene. It's important to the book. And you can understand why people are unnerved by it. The other, not in the movie, is a scene where the boy, 12 in the book, bathes an old woman. So there's a 12-year-old boy with a naked woman in
I loved it when that scene was cut from the film. Lois, I know you were very disappointed because you wanted to play that old
I was going to volunteer. It was the old lady.
Exactly.
I thought I could be a cameo, at any rate.
You've been waiting 20 years for that.
Finally, I'm old enough to play that old woman, but they cut the scene from
You
the
both
movie.
aged into the roles then, as you
We
said.
did, yeah.
Your father was your original idea for
That's
The Giver,
right.
and you
I
shot.
started to look like that grizzled old guy.
Yeah.
You mentioned you shot the photo. We all know that cover. Those who've read the book early on. Now it has the new movie poster
Yeah.
cover. But who was that old man?
The old man, who's long dead, was named Carl Gustav Nelson. He was a painter. And at the time I was a journalist, a photojournalist, and I had an assignment from a magazine to write an article about him. So I went and spent time with him, photographed him. And I remember when his photograph was floating in my darkroom sink, one of my kids walked past, glanced at it, and said, "Who's that, Moses?" And so I wrote him to thank him for the time we'd spent together, and I told him that. And we corresponded for some years, and he always signed his letters, "Love, Moses." He's gone now, and he was gone when the book was written, so he didn't ever get to see himself as a cover on a book. Yeah.
Nikki, you've worked with Jeff for a long time, and this is, as he said, been a project that he's been developing forever. Tell us about the turning point. What was it that happened that finally gave the Giver the green light?
Well, in everything, there's always luck and timing, and Jeff's continual persistence as we went through this. And I don't feel old enough to have been involved in this for 17 years, but clearly it's been quite a journey. And I think there all of a sudden became an appetite, a real appetite for this whole genre of dystopian fiction that, Lois, I always call her the birth mother of this whole genre of literature that's out there right now. And so it was a combination of timing that finally was right, and Lois's continual faith in us and not giving up, and then a vision for how we could take this book and make it into this amazing piece that has action and it's interesting and would affect all ages. So we were really excited with Walden and Weinstein are the perfect combination of companies to come together to do it.
So that's interesting. So some of the novels that were inspired by The Giver ended up clearing the path for The Giver to go to the screen.
It happens that way sometimes.
Symbiotic relationship. Can you talk about the casting of the film and about an actress who we saw in the footage but is not here, Meryl Streep, as the
Meryl.
elder, chief elder.
I mean, our chief elder too. I mean, it was to have, the two top actors of our generation, acting together. And Jeff, you and Meryl have never acted together before, right?
Meryl's like a soccer mom.
Right.
Our kids play soccer together, so I knew her, but I had never worked with her before, and it was, real thrill.
And you have a number of scenes together, especially at the end, where you two go
Oh,
head
it's
to head.
good. They go head to head. It's
Yeah.
really good. And we would just sit on set and watch the two of them go, and everybody just stopped. I mean, it was amazing, right? I mean, just watching the two of them and the clash of their two ideologies at the end, and it just builds. The music's pumping, and it's fantastic. So Meryl's, she's one of a kind.
Jeff, do you
Can I just add something further?
Sure, absolutely.
I want to say this happens rarely, but I realized after seeing what I've seen of the work, I haven't seen the total film yet. I realized I wanted to go back and rewrite the book, and I wanted to make the role of the chief elder into what it is, really a screenplay role. Because in the book, it's a small role, and the personality of the chief elder is not displayed. She makes it into something so complex and so fascinating. And she is really the political leader, and Jeff the spiritual leader, and the conflict between them, which is not, unfortunately, in the book. I wish I could go back.
Let's talk about what happened with this character, because she's not a traditional villain. She's not out to do evil. She really believes in the mission that they've set forth to clear suffering away from people.
It's actually the same thing that happens when people try to ban the book. They're not evil people. They're people who care about their children and want to protect their children. I always try to remember that when they write me letters saying, Jesus would be ashamed of you. This is a good person who wants to protect her child. And same thing with this role for Meryl.
And how wonderful, a powerful woman running the society. Love that too, right?
Made her evil, though. Sort of.
She's not evil.
Not evil.
She's got a strong point of view.
Just stern. Sure.
Different thing.
So, Brendan, you've had a pretty big year. Maleficent, Evangelina Jolie was in that, and Elle Fanning, and now you're in The Giver with another elder statesman, Jeff Bridges. Can you tell us about just moving from when you shot Maleficent first and then The Giver, or sometimes these get the shooting gets mixed up and the film that you shot last doesn't always come out first. So what order was it? Did you go right from Maleficent into The Giver?
Let me think. Maleficent was a long time ago. That was maybe 3 years ago.
Wow.
This was a quick turnaround from shooting it to coming out. That's just crazy. Maleficent, I think it took 2.5 years to come out. So it's cool to be here this year to watch them all come to life, because life on set is very different, very monotonous, not monotonous, but it's kind of like Groundhog Day. You go to set, a different scene, in the desert getting chased by a snake or something. But yeah, it's interesting. This whole experience is cool, and it'd be really cool to see what you guys think of the movie.
Was there a particular scene in The Giver that you were most looking forward to shooting? I just couldn't wait to get to that part of the script.
I mean, I was really excited to.
Don't touch me, man.
You touched me, bro. You touched me. It's really.
You can touch
Well,
Not nice in real life.
Lois wasn't as rude to me.
He can touch me all he wants. I said he can touch me all he wants.
She's ready for her bath.
Hey, can't you guys read this sign that says, please be aware that there are many members of our audience that are under 18 years of age. We're getting a little racy here.
Now who's the chief elder, Jeff? Protect the children. So, O'Day, you portray Fiona, and in the story, she's much younger than you actually are. What do you think adding a few years to the character for the purpose of the film actually does to maybe change the perspective of her, or does it not at all?
I think it does, because in the book, when Jonas starts to develop feelings, he starts to develop feelings for Fiona, and it's kind of a crush, because it's, feelings can only go like to an extent as a 12-year-old, but when you're 16, 17, I think it's much more severe. And when he falls in love with her, he realizes how cruel this society actually is. So it makes the injections and the community seem even more harsh.
Lois said earlier that the book, she thinks the book makes a connection because it raises questions that people have. I guess it raises questions and makes you feel not so alone that you're asking the same questions. Well, what connection did you make with the book when you first read it?
I think for me, it just really hit me of how incredible life is and how much we have to cherish certain moments. A lot of memories that the Jonas receives and holidays and just things like being warm and being cold and things that we take for granted, and she kind of put that message in subtly. And a lot of times as kids, our parents always tell us, appreciate this moment, because we're trying to grow up and we're not really realizing how good things are. But it's easier said than done. And this book really hits you. It's much different.
Brendan, how about you?
Yeah, she was like, be happy, smile, don't be nervous. Yeah, I'm taking your advice.
Brendan, what kind of feelings did the story stir in you when you first laid eyes on it?
I guess I just really connected with Jonas. I read the screenplay before the book. And I guess I was really attracted to his journey and how he finds, imperative moments throughout the story. He learns such deep, visceral emotions from the giver, and that kind of teaches him to trust his instincts and follow his heart.
And I always felt like any kind of pain or suffering, you want to take those sharp edges, take those jagged edges off of your life if you can. That leads to kind of dull existence, doesn't it?
The price of comfort, how much we're willing to pay to be comfortable, and that can also that can often backfire. A lot of the richness in life comes out of the struggle and suffering.
One of the things that people sometimes don't notice right away is that in this world where Jonas lives, among the things they've lost are art and music and literature. And the reason for that is that those things always arise out of pain. And once they've obliterated the painful part of life, they've lost a very great deal.
And love too, that great song, Love Hurts, It does sometimes, but look what else it does.
But I also think that there's probably not a person in this room who at one point in their life didn't say, I'd give it all up if it could just be easy. I'd give it all up. And that's really the question that the movie asks. I mean, I think we've all gone through times so it's like, so Meryl's argument's a real argument. That's what makes the book exciting. That's what makes the movie exciting, too.
Absolutely. Well, let's open it up to the audience. You guys have some questions for this bunch? Let's take a few questions from the audience. And if you're the shy type who's not likely to get up out of your seat and go to the microphone and you want to ask something, tweet me a message. My Twitter handle is my last name, @BREZNICAN, and I'll ask it for you. So for the shy persons out there, they can get their question asked too. But let's take a question from the microphone.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
I found out in the book there that Jonas wasn't dead because you said in Gathering Food he survives. Are we going to do a Gathering Food movie?
Good question. Will there be a sequel to The Giver following the books?
I don't know that. There's been talk of it, but I think probably that decision will wait until we see how the audience reacts to this movie. It would be fun to embark on a new one, but I don't think that decision will be made for a while.
Any other questions? Oh, your mic's not on.
Oh. Tell the people who want to ban your book to go live in Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 society.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Ada, and this is a question for Lewis Thorne. And I was wondering, would you consider your book a dystopian when you wrote it? And also, how do you think other dystopian worlds compare since you wrote